I hope that everybody had a wonderful week. Even before this Parsha starts, Parshat Vayechi, we already have a question. Usually, in between Parshas, there's a break in the Torah. Sometimes this is the second Parsha, the latter Parsha starts at the end of the line. Sometimes it starts in the beginning of the line. In the beginning of Parshat Vayechi, there is no break. The end of Vayigash runs straight into the beginning of Parshat Vayechi. Chazal call it a Parsha Stuma, a closed Parsha. Why is Vayechi a closed Parsha? So Rashi says, because it indicates to us that somebody's eyes were closed. There was some knowledge that couldn't be had. Rashi offers two possibilities. Number one is that Bnei Yisrael's eyes were closed because as Yaakov is going to pass away and subsequently the rest of the Shvatim, so that means that signals the beginning of the enslavement to Egypt. And that suffering would be so great, it's as if Nistat my name Shal Yisrael, the Jews' eyes were closed because they were suffering so great. Rashi offers a second explanation, that really Yaakov wanted to tell his sons when Mashiach was going to come, when the final redemption was going to be. However, Hashem decided, no, not a good idea, and he closed Yaakov's eyes. He didn't let him share that knowledge. Rav Simcha ben Reb Shishcha says, why of all times did Yaakov choose now to reveal the Mashiach, the story of the final redemption, to his children? And he suggests, because when somebody's going to suffer and go through a very difficult time, if we knew that that challenge was going to end at said time, it makes the challenge a little bit easier to handle. So Yaakov, knowing that his children were going to go into slavery, wanted to share with them, don't worry, there's an end to this story. Rav Simcha ben says that the two suggestions of Rashi are not separate suggestions. They're the same suggestion. Because Nistat my name Shal Yisrael, because the Jews were about to go to slavery, that's why Yaakov wanted to reveal the end, and Hashem had to close his eyes and say, no, we're not going to reveal the end. Okay, well, if it was such a good idea, such a havamina, to want to reveal the end, so why did Hashem shut him down? Why didn't Hashem let him reveal when the Mashiach is going to come? So Sfas Emes writes, because this notion of knowing the end is so alleviating of the pain of the suffering that whatever kapara, whatever atonement, whatever the reason that Hashem decided that Bnei Yisrael had to go into slavery, it would have been nullified by the calming feature of knowing what the end would be. And because Hashem had a purpose for why he wanted Bnei Yisrael to be enslaved, because that was critical in order to give nullified by the calming feature of knowing what the end would be. And because Hashem had a purpose for why he wanted the Bnei Yisrael to be enslaved, because that was critical in order to give birth to the future of the Jewish people, so Hashem said, no, they can't know the end. It has to be suffering without knowing the end. I think we probably can all relate to this issue a little bit with COVID. If we knew that there was going to be an end to the story, no more variants, no more mutations, no more quarantines, and life would go back somewhat to the way that we used to know it, so then it would be a little bit easier for so many of us to handle. But anxiety is so high because it just every few days, few weeks, few months. So there's new news of a new variant, of a new law, of new conditions. And that's very unsettling for us. So Yaakov wanted to make it easier for his children. Hashem said no, according to the Sfas Emes, that would nullify the whole reason for the shibud, for the enslavement in the first place. I wonder if we could give a second suggestion for why Hashem didn't let Bnei Yisrael know when the Mashiach was going to come. We have friends in Beit Shemesh that every time they go to Yerushalayim, they try to educate their children about the centrality and importance of the Har HaBayis and the coming Beis HaMikdash. They make it a point to go visit the Kotel, no matter where they are in Yerushalayim, even if that wasn't the purpose of their trip. But how could you go to Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, and not go visit the remnant of Hashem's house? So that's what they did, and they knew that they were successful. Because on one trip they had to rush to get back. There was an emergency that popped up. They started driving out of Yerushalayim, and their 3-year-old from the back started screaming, "Why aren't we going to the Kotel? I want to go to the Kotel. Let's go to the Kotel." He was yearning so much to be close to the Kedusha, to the holiness that emanates from that spot. Says the Kli Yakar, you know why Hashem didn't let Yaakov share when Mashiach was going to come? Because if we knew the date that Mashiach was going to come, so there would be no yearning for the Mashiach. There'd be no seeking for the Mashiach, longing for the redemption. There wouldn't be any of that. We would wake up on a day that's not the day that's designated for the Mashiach to come. We're like, okay, here's another day. Says the Kli Yakar, and this is an important element, because yes, Ahavas Chinam, doing good deeds for others, yes, that's going to counter the Sinas Chinam, and that's going to help rebuild the Beis HaMikdash. And yes, every mitzvah that we do, yes, that's going to build a brick in the Beis HaMikdash as well. But the key ingredient to having Geula, that's whether we're yearning for the Mashiach to come, whether we're ready to say my life is not good enough the way it is. I need HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be back in His house. So the reason why, even though it would have helped Bnei Yisrael, but the reason why Hashem didn't want Yaakov to reveal the end was because it would have removed the most key element, the most important part, and that is our desire, how badly we want it. If we want Mashiach badly, we could create the reality of the Mashiach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us understand why having a Beis HaMikdash and having a HaKadosh Baruch Hu clear in the world is so crucial for our lives, and therefore through our yearning, He should bring the Beis HaMikdash Mehera. Have a great Shabbos.